Hey everyone! So it turned out to take a bit longer to get on my feet after my medical situation than I anticipated. Because while my hospital stay was indeed only 3 weeks, the actual recovery period was more like 2 months. But after all that, I'm happier and healthier than ever, so it all turned out fine in the end. But because of my long absence, I was racking my brain to try and figure out what video I could put together quickly, since a completely new video would prolong my absence even more. And while I have done some sketches and doodles while recovering, none of them are what I would call fully polished and finished pieces. So I was wondering what if I had any recent and completed drawings when the thought crossed my mind to showcase some of my art school projects. Though most of them were done as traditional art and I didn't record the process of making them since I didn't anticipate making this into a video. There were 2 projects I did on my portable tablet with IBS Paint, and this art program actually automatically records your art, so even though I didn't consider the idea of showcasing it online at the time, the progress videos were still recorded. So that's how I got this idea, and now on to the first of the 2 projects. This project was part of our digital design course, which revolved around helping us get a grasp on what makes a good design and properly implement our ideas by using digital art programs. For this, we were instructed to make posters on a musician or a singer we like and use all the different rules to good poster design we learned about. These rules include keeping text short and to the point, having the eye catcher take up most of the poster, higher contrast, not too many different elements, and easy to differentiate text. So I kept all of these things in mind when coming up with the sketches. When it came to deciding which singer to make a poster of, I obviously chose Ado, because I absolutely adore her singing, and the anime avatars she uses to depict herself looked fun to draw. And another bonus was that since she hides her appearance from the public, that avatar is all we can go off, so my anime art style is actually very fitting for the depiction. When it came to ideas for the sketches, I knew I wanted to add the blue roses associated with her, because blue roses don't occur naturally but were made with genetic engineering. So blue roses represent achieving the impossible, and Ado has stated before that she viewed her dream of becoming a singer as impossible, but still managed to achieve it. Because of this association, I was certain that I needed blue roses as part of the poster. Going back to one of the previously mentioned rules, eye contrast. The way Ado appears during concerts is as just a silhouette due to the specific way everything is lit, which naturally lends itself to creating the high contrast to elevate the design. Using both of these ideas, I played around a bit with placement and poses until I arrived at these 3 sketches. I also did the sketches in grayscale to give myself a better idea of how well the contrasts are working in each one. But in the end, I decided on this one, because the further away view allows for the silhouette idea to come across better than with a close-up shot, and with the arrangement everything leads the focus to the middle. And it's incredibly important that the attention is drawn to the subject. I then proceeded to color it and prepare it for our first round of feedback in class. The first piece of feedback was to change the text and make it bigger, which was an oopsie on my part since I actually forgot to change it before showing it. The second was to size up the roses along the top, because there was too much empty space next to them. The third was that while all the colors are very harmonious with each other, no color stood out, so I suggested I could change the rose in Ado's hand to red instead, so it would stand out more. And fourth, I did mention the hidden appearance part while explaining who Ado was to the class, and one of my classmates was creating a poster on a different singer that hides their face, and they suggested to me to start out Ado's face. All of these critique points were really helpful, and I was able to find what was missing for making the poster feel complete. And especially the suggestion to shadow out her face made the contrast more striking and made it feel more like Ado. I did also leave out a few things that I usually do in my art style, like the saturate colors on the edges of shadows and the colored eye outlines, since simplicity is much more effective with posters, so I omitted those art style details to make it read more easily. And lastly, here's a picture of the actual physical poster hung up in my school, though it's not there anymore since we've been allowed to take the posters back home now. Moving on to the second project. Now this project was meant to help us learn to express values and messages through our art more effectively. So the teacher instructed us to choose a democratical value to express through one artwork in a medium of our choosing. At first I was super stumped for what to do, because the teacher mentioned that it would be best if we chose one that's especially important to us, but I wasn't really sure what to go for. So then the teacher gave us the advice to think of someone we view as a role model and think about why we admire this person, because that'll give us a good idea of what's important to us. I used Tsukasa Tenma as a guide point for what's important to me in general, which is passion and being free to chase your dreams. I took this idea and shifted it to focus on freedom and drafted up some ideas. And while I am showing the notes and sketches, they're all, well, mostly in German, so you probably can't read them, sorry. But I came to the idea that I did by considering how freedom itself could be portrayed. While doves in the sky are very typical ways of representing freedom, I didn't want to be too cliché. So I thought about how to portray breaking free from limits and came to the idea of paint escaping from the frame of a painting. And then I realized I could even have the painting's subject escape the frame. But then I needed to consider what to actually put in the painting. I wanted it to be something associated with freedom and remembered how dandelions represent freedom due to how its seeds fly away and scatter. So I looked up what other flowers can symbolize freedom, which is how I came to sunflowers, lilies and yellow roses, as they do also mean freedom, though they do have some other meanings like adoration, loyalty and purity. And that's how I came up with the idea of the piece, but I'm sure you've noticed the difference in art style by now. I thought that my usual cartoony anime art style wouldn't suit a drawing that's so heavily focused on flowers that need to be recognizable, so strong stylization could detract from the piece. Which is why I went for a more painterly and slightly more realistic style to make sure that all the flowers could be easily recognized and to overall feel softer. In the end, I'm very happy with how both of these projects turned out, and I'm glad that they gave me the opportunities to play around with and stretch what my usual art style is, since it is both great practice and good for pushing me out of my comfort zone. I do hope that now, with my medical situation being mostly resolved, that I can return to making videos more regularly. But I'm not going to make any promises, since we saw how that turned out last time with 3 weeks turning into 3 months. Anyways, hope you enjoyed and I'll see you next time.